Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with chapter 3, Deep Water, from our book Flamingo. Now, Deep Water, it is written by the author. Here we will see some of the information about the author, William O. Douglas. Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights. He was a judge at the Supreme Court of USA, retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. That means his tenure or the duration of working in law, it was the highest in the history of the court. The following excerpt is taken from, this chapter, Deep Water, it is taken from the Book of Mountains and Men by William O. Douglas. In this story, it has been taken from the author's autobiography of Men and Mountains. In this piece, he tells about of his fear of water and how he conquered it by determination and willpower. Now, before that, we are going to see the difficult words with meanings. First is treacherous, means dangerous. Subdued, calmed. Aversion, strong feeling of not liking something. Revived, brought back. Aping, imitating. Bruiser, boxer. To be ducked, to be plunged in. Summoned, called upon. Bob, move up in water. Panicky, alarmed. Flailed, moved arms and legs. Around without control. Throbbed, beat loudly. Stark, absolute. Limp, lacking energy. Oblivion, forgetfulness. Cascades, waterfalls. Slack, decrease. Vestiges, remains. Trails, path on hills. Brush aside, to ignore. Now, William Douglas recalls a misadventure of childhood. It happened when he was 10 or 11 years old. He had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at YMCA in Yakima which was safe. It was only 2 to 3 feet deep at the shallow end and 9 feet deep at the other. So there was a lake near his residence and there he wanted to swim. But his mother used to tell that it is very dangerous as most of the people gets drowned over there. So he found out a YCMA pool in Yakima and it was a better place rather than a lake to swim, because it was, when you enter in the pool, it is only 2 to 3 feet deep. It is a very shallow, and when you go much inside, it is 9 feet deep. So the drop is very gradual and the person can start learning very gradually. The drop was very gradual and so he started learning over there in that particular pool. He got a pair of water wings and went to the pool. He hated to walk naked into water and shows his very thin legs, because everyone used to tease him, very thin leg boy. But then too also he started developing a passion. Now the author had developed an aversion to the water. Aversion means the fear or not liking to go inside the water. When he was 3 or 4, his father had taken him to the beach in California. They stood together on the surf. The waves knocked him down. That means he fell down and swept over him. He was buried underwater. His breath was gone. He was frightened. His father laughed, but the overpowering force of the waves filled a terror in the young author's heart. Unpleasant memories were revived when he went to YMCA pool for the first time. Childish fears were stirred, but soon he gathered confidence. He watched other boys paddling on the water with their water wings. He tried to learn by imitating them. He did this 2 to 3 times on different days. He was just beginning to feel comfortable in the water when a misadventure happened. When he went to the pool, there was no one else. So he sat on the side of the pool to wait for others. Shortly afterwards, a big boy, a boxer, came. He was probably 18 years old and had beautiful muscles on his legs and arms. He called the author Skinny and asked how he would like to be plunged in the water. The boxer boy picked Douglas and threw him into the deep end. He struck water in the sitting position. He swallowed water and at once went to the bottom. He was frightened but did not lose his wits. That means he did not lose his passion, or he did not lose his mindset, consciousness. He made a plan. He would make a big jump when his feet hit the bottom. He would come to the surface like a cock, lie on a flat on it, and then pedal to the edge of the pool. Those 9 feet appeared more than 90, but he touched the bottom. His lungs were ready to burst. When his feet hit the bottom, he made a gradual jump upwards, but he failed to reach the surface at once. He came up slowly. His eyes and nose came out of the water, but not his mouth. He moved around his legs on the surface of the water. He swallowed the water and choked. He tried to bring his legs up, but they hung as a dead weight. He again went down to the bottom of the pool. He was shrinking under the water because the terror has completely paralyzed him under the water. But his heart and the pounding in the head told him that he was still alive. When he hit the bottom, he jumped with his full might. The jump made no difference. The water was still around him. His arms and legs wouldn't move. He trembled down with fear. That means he was shivering down with horror. He tried to call for help, to call mother, but nothing happened. Then he rose up. His eyes and nose were almost out of water. He sucked for air and got water. He started down, going to the third time. Then all the efforts ended and he relaxed. A blackness swept over his brain and wiped out terror. There was no more panic. He felt drowsy and wanted to sleep. He gave all his efforts. He gave up all his attempts. He forgot everything. When he came to his senses, he found himself lying on his stomach beside the pool, vomiting. The boy who had thrown him in said, person said, I was only fooling. Someone said the kid had nearly died. Then they took him to the locker room. He walked home after several hours. He was weak and trembling. He shook and cried when he lay on his bed. He couldn't eat that night. For days, a haunting fear was in his heart. He never went back to the pool. He feared water and avoided it whenever he could. A few years later, he came to know the waters of Cascades. He wanted to get into them. Whenever he did so, the terror, it stopped him to go inside the pool and return back. His leg would become paralyzed. An icy horror would grab his heart. This handicap remained with him as the time passed. Whenever he went, the haunting fear of the water followed him. It ruined its fishing trips. It deprived him of joy of boating, swimming, canoeing, and the other types of activities in the river or the pool. He used every method he knew to overcome his fear. Finally, he decided to get an instructor and learn to swim. He went to a pool and practiced 5 days a week, an hour each day. The instructor used to put a belt around him. The rope attached to the belt went through the pulley on an overhead cable, as you can see over here in the picture. He held on to the end of the rope. Then they went on this way for many weeks. On each trip across the pool, a bit of panic, it stopped him. Each time the instructor relaxed his hold on the rope and the author went under the water. Some of the old fear returned and his legs used to freeze him. It was 3 months before the tension began to slack. Then the instructor taught him to put his face under the water and exhale, and to raise his nose and inhale. He repeated this exercise hundreds of times. Very slowly, he shed some of all the panic or the fear which was going on his head for years together. Then the instructor held him safe at the side of the pool and had him kick with his legs. He did so for weeks. Gradually, his legs relaxed. Thus, smaller by smaller, piece by piece, he built a swimmer. When he had perfected each piece, he put them together into an integrated whole. He then started practicing in October and in April. the trainer told him that he could swim. He asked the author to dive off and swim the length of the pool. He began with the crawl stroke. When he swam alone in the pool, tiny remnants of the old terror would return. Tiny remnants means the tiny memories. It would return and scare him. But now he could rebuke his terror. He could overcome his terror. This went on till July. He was still not satisfied. So he went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire. There he died off a dock at Tring's Island. He swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island. He swam, crawl, breaststroke, side stroke and backstroke. The terror returned only once. When he was in the middle of the lake, he put his fear under and saw nothing but bottomless water. He asked terror what it could do to him and it fled away. Some doubts still remained, so he went up to Teton to Conrad Meadows, up on the Conrad Trail to Mid Glacier. He camped in the high meadow by the side of the warm lake. Next morning, he dived into the lake and swam across to the other shore and back. He shouted with joy, and Gilbert Peak returned the echo. He had conquered his fear of water. The experience had a deeper meaning for him. Only those who have known stark terror can conquer it and appreciate it. In death, there is a peace. There is terror only in the fear of death. Roosevelt knew it. He said, all we have to fear is fear itself. Douglas had returned both the sensation of dying and the terror that fear of it can produce. The will to live somehow grew in intensity. At last, Douglas felt liberated. He was free to walk the trails or the paths and climb the peaks and to ignore the fear. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have understood this very well. Read on to the chapter from your textbook and try to understand the way it is being explained in this video also. Then only that thing will be very clear. Okay, children?